Hello, hyperspace. My name is Davontos, and it's time to get hyped because this is some epic Overwatch gameplay. And today we're not talking about Overwatch, even though I'm using Reinhardt, which is a hero I never really use, and I go beast with him. But today we are talking about Nintendo's new console, the Nintendo Switch, previously known as the Nintendo NX. Now, I don't really cover Nintendo up in this channel, but hey, why not? It's a new console, everybody's talking about it, and everybody wants to know more about it, and sadly I know just as much as you do, if not maybe a little less. So let's talk about some positives and negatives that this console might have and how I feel about it. So let's get right into this. Okay, so let's cover the positives first. The Nintendo NX. I keep calling it the NX. Let's call it the NX until I get used to saying Switch. So the Nintendo NX is it's very small, it's very nice looking, it's very sleek, and it just looks like a really nice design. It's kind of like a mixture of a Wii U tablet mixed with the Wii, mixed with an actual, like, Apple iPad. It's really unique, and it's something we've never seen before. You can actually take the controller, hook it up onto the sides of the iPad, take out the iPad from the console, and then play on the go. Or you can actually just take the iPad, hook it onto the console like an old school N64 cartridge, just slip the iPad on it, it works like a cartridge, and whatever you were playing on the tablet now appears on the TV screen. So it's really interesting in how this works. Now, about this little tablet idea, those little controllers are, I guess, kind of iffy to me, because they're like these little tiny controllers that you slip on the sides of the tablet. They're very tiny. And because they're very tiny, they're probably going to be uncomfortable for players with big hands, like me. I'm a big guy, and I got big hands, and I'm pretty sure there are guys out there who also have big hands. So, it might be a little uncomfortable working with them tiny controllers, but luckily, they made another controller, which looks like, I guess you can say the, what is it called, the Wii U Pro controller? It looks like your standard video game controller, 2 joysticks, A, B, X, Y, R2, and so on. So, I guess that can work if you're not comfortable with the little tiny controllers that slip on the side of the tablet. We don't even know what they're called at this point, but let's just call them those tiny controllers that slip off on the side. Not comfortable with that? Use the big one. I'm pretty sure the big one's probably going to be sold separately. So how will these games be delivered? Now, according to the trailer, if I've seen this right, the games will be delivered on little cartridges, kind of like the Nintendo 3DS. It's going to be like a little tiny SD card that you slap into the back of, I believe, the tablet, and you get to play your games. Now, the plus side to this is, well, the save data might be saved on the cartridge, so it's going to be really easy to save your game and not worry about running out of space on the console. The bad thing to it is, well, they're going to be very tiny games, they're going to be very delicate, very easy to lose, and that also means because the console is mostly focusing on this tablet, we know tablets don't have a lot of data space, which means the console itself probably won't have a lot of data space. But it's not really to worry about too much because it's probably just going to save on the little chips anyway. So, one more really good positive thing about the Nintendo Switch. It's said to have a lot of third-party support. Now, Nintendo actually released a little screenshot of sampling of Nintendo Switch partners for third-party support, and you have games like Activision, Konami, Sega, EA, you got Bandai Namco, Capcom. It's a whole list of about like maybe 30 different third-party games, and they all say that they're interested in supporting this Nintendo Switch, which is great! But there's a downside to that. A lot of companies said they're going to do the same thing with the Wii U, and it didn't really happen. So I would say this third-party support thing, just take it with a grain of salt, because it happened with the Wii U, it can kind of happen again. So just don't get your hopes up too high, but don't doubt them either. Just wait and see what happens. And as far as I know, that's all I can talk about with the NX, because I don't know that much about it. Now, some of the negative things that I see in the NX, let's talk about that, which ain't much. Okay, so let's start off on the battery life. Now, the battery life for most tablets aren't really too long, which can kinda, I guess, mean the Switch's battery life on their tablet isn't going to be that long either. So it's not really much of a problem because nobody really cares much for battery life. You can just keep it plugged all day and never take it out. But if you do take it out, the battery life won't last that long. Maybe. And if you are taking it out and plugging it back in, it leads into the next problem, which is wear and tear. Now, in my opinion, this Nintendo, I keep calling it the NX, man, the Nintendo Switch, it looks very, very delicate, very fragile, and if you keep plugging it in and plugging it out, like the tablet, keep plugging the tablet in and plugging the tablet out, it's gonna wear and tear. And we don't know what has to be replaced. If you have to replace the tablet, or God forbid you gotta replace the whole console, because constant plugging in and out is gonna make this wear and tear happen much sooner, so something is bound to break. It's the same thing with like a phone. You keep unplugging your phone and plugging it back, eventually the phone's just gonna stop charging and you gotta either buy a new charger or just buy a whole new phone. It can happen with the NX as well. And it goes the same thing with those little controllers that you hook onto the side of the tablet. We don't know if they have to be hooked on to work, or I don't think so. I think you can just play them just like a regular controller and there's not any like plugging that's necessary. It's just like a quick slide in, slide off. So if that's the case, you know, that's not going to wear and tear. But the thing that worries me is the wear and tear that's going to happen between the console and the tablet, especially if there are young children playing this. Now, Nintendo appeals to a wide amount of audiences, but there are also a lot of kids who are more familiar with Nintendo than they are other companies, which means that these kids are going to want the NX or Switch. Stop calling it the NX, damn it. Okay, so they're going to want this Switch, and we know that the majority of kids, they're really rough with their belongings, which means this wear and tear aspect is going to happen much sooner than with their Switch. It's just something that worries me. It just looks very, very delicate and fragile. But other than that, it looks really, really good. Just the battery life worries me, and it just looks very delicate. And that's all I know about the Nintendo Switch, so if you know anything else that I missed, leave it in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about the Nintendo NX. Are you interested in getting it? Interested in just watching it, seeing how it is, and then getting it in the future? And if you liked the video, punch that like button with a mighty force. I'll leave you with the rest of the video. There's about like maybe 3-4 minutes left. You can follow me up on Twitter at Davontos, man. And as always, I'll see all of you in the next video. Have a nice day.
This is not over.
The payload is stopped. Get it moving.
Join me.
Keep the payload in motion.
Are you afraid? Fight me.
洞主，不许走！ Rains from above. Heroes never die.
Get on the attack.
I hate your attention. I am on fire. Come here and get burned. Get behind them.
The payload has reached.
Are you afraid to fight me?
Let's get this moving.
Still kicking.
Fire in the hole. Heroes never die.
Don't worry, my friend. I have your shield.
洞主，不许走！
30 seconds remaining.
Freeze! Don't move. Justice reigns from above.
This is not over.